Dear friends, this right here is love. Not that we loved God, but still he gave his son just to save us, and sacrifice for us. And since God loved us, then we also ought to love one another. And if God is love, whoever lives in love lives in God and God in them. So, and if you don't know love and you don't know God, let it change who we are.
Yo, what up, 910? Braden, wait on the pod. We took a week off. We were at Hume. It is what it is. For all of our faithful, our 910 faithful, we're sorry. And for those of you that didn't notice, well, you probably won't notice this week. Probably won't notice anyways. Get this pen out of here. I got a question for you.
Okay.
Just to like right off the bat, we're going to jump into this thing. What's your social nightmare?
Ooh.
Katie B asked me this question last night, and I thought it was a fire question.
Okay, my social nightmare. Man, oh my gosh. Okay.
Because you're introverted.
Yeah, I'm an introvert. Gosh. I think, okay, this probably isn't the perfect answer to this, but honestly, when you bring up the fact that I'm an introvert, I think it's the idea that I will fall apart if I don't have time to like get away, by myself for a little bit. So like that honestly might be my nightmare. Has my nightmare been met before? Maybe.
So you're saying your social nightmare is like constantly being surrounded?
Yeah, I think my social nightmare would be like I'm constantly around people, which is probably the exact opposite of you.
It is. You know how I answered this question last night?
How'd you answer it?
Also, don't yell into this thing. You're going to hurt all of our listeners' ears.
My bad, I'm sorry.
I apologize on his behalf to your eardrums. Mine, I literally answered it this way. We went to Yard House for Lauren Mouche's 21st birthday last night. Shout out to Lolo. And I answered it literally the exact opposite. I said, put me in a cabin by myself for 2 weeks. That's my social nightmare.
Yeah.
Which I kind of want to try it, to be honest.
You want to try out your nightmare?
Yeah. Yeah, I'm sick like that. My mom had to do that. I actually think she did 3 weeks in a cabin by herself up in Washington. And I think the only social interaction she had was, I think she met with a counselor once a week. And then the rest of it was just like processing her life. She hand wrote over 100 pages.
What?
In 3 weeks. And it was just like, so it's like it's the pinnacle of this program called the Institute of Spiritual Formation. You have to do this retreat.
Okay.
And it's gnarly. She has like some crazy stories. She has some crazy like demon stories.
Wait.
From those 3 weeks.
That's insane.
Yeah. I mean, imagine 3 weeks of just like wrestling with the entirety of your life and like no facade of anything. It's just you.
And writing that much?
Yeah. It's a lot.
That's one of my nightmares. Like
your social nightmare is being surrounded by people in a cabin for 2 weeks and being forced to write.
Yeah, just being like, all right, everyone sit down, write some poetry, go. 3, 2, 1.
Nice.
But
roses are red.
Violets
Leave
are blue.
me alone.
Violets are
My
blue.
name's Braden.
I want to go home.
Nice. Bars.
No, but yeah, I wrote a rap song in TNL one time, so I'm kind of familiar with this whole...
You're basically Drake.
Well, actually, Drake has ghostwriters, and I wrote and performed my own song. Wow. So
this guy's actually trying to make himself greater than great.
Greater than
Drake.
I just think, like, if I'm not saying you put me on the Mount Rushmore of rap, but I'm saying there's a case, you know? But
you want your face chiseled out of stone.
Yeah, I mean,
have you been over Mount Rushmore?
No, I haven't.
It's kind of the worst.
Okay, I've heard that like out of all the like sights to see in America,
like the Grand Canyon.
I knew it, man. I can't escape it. Okay,
you can't escape it.
I can't escape it.
Just for context, Braden is from Arizona and has never been to the Grand Canyon.
Yep.
That's like being from San Diego and never having seen the ocean.
Like, well,
I think it's the same. I think it's the same.
Well, you know what? We're gonna agree to disagree there. Okay, on that point. Because
it's like being from Escondido and claiming that you're from San Diego. It's just not true. It's just not true.
Dude, what's in Escondido? Like,
nothing. Literally nothing.
Literally, like Escondido is...
No.
It's a great city. If you're from Escondido, shout out. Shout out to all my San Marcos Escondido people. Shout out TJ. But
I'm chill with San Marcos. It's just Escondido.
what's your beef with Escondido?
Yeah, Escondido got beef. I don't know. I just don't like it.
Okay.
Not a
That's
fan.
respectable, dude. That's respectable. That's your social nightmare, is being trapped in Escondido.
Yes, alone.
Alone.
All by myself. Yeah, that sounds terrible. Okay, if you were to sign a record deal tomorrow, you're an artist and you're going on worldwide tour. What kind of music are you performing? And then are you like, I need to know the details of this tour. Like, are you like you and a guitar only kind of guy? Or are you like, I got backup dancers and a show and like all the homies coming through? There's like 5 acts. Or is it like about the music? Is it about the performance? What are the spots you're most excited to perform at? Like, tell me the details of this tour.
Okay, I think if I was going to have this illustrious music career and tour, I would want to, my goal for concert feel and vibes felt would have to be like Justin Timberlake. I'd want people like in their feet, like grooving, dancing. Like I'd want to have like numbers, like choreographed, backup dancers, like. But I would want it to be like Justin Timberlake meets like John Mayer. You know? And don't get me wrong, those are probably two opposite people, but I want to be able, in my illustrious music career, I want to have the library of my music to be able to go from my suit and tie to Father.
I think you missed that one. I think it's suit and tie.
I said suit and tie, right?
Yeah, but
Okay.
kind of pulled the.
I'm
Charlotte in
bringing
there.
sexy back.
Have you ever heard Charlie try to sing along to any song ever? We roasted her for a long time on the road trip because every song that come on, she would nail every like 6th word. It was like, Chart, you actually don't know the words to any of these songs.
She's probably like arguing, like, no.
It was great. It was
I know this
fantastic.
really
She said
well.
Chase thinks it's some sort of disorder. Like a singing along disorder.
That's fine. My sisters say my feet are so white that it looks like I have some sort of like disease. It's why I never wear flops.
You should wear sandals.
Oh gosh, no, dude.
That would make my day.
Dude, I would blind people.
Okay, I have your new social nightmare.
No, okay, yeah.
You in a cabin for 2 weeks in Escondido, full of people writing poetry with flip-flops on. I just saw you break a sweat.
Okay, we can like end the podcast now.
Okay, all right. I like the not Timberlake, sorry, not Bieber, John Mayer combo. That's fascinating. I truly believe when Justin Timberlake came back after Suit and Tie, which was just a phenomenal album, and performed the halftime show after not doing any live performances for like 7 years.
Dude,
it was bananas.
it was so good.
It was New Orleans that year.
He like did this like weird like mic thing too, where he had this like mic that would like rotate on this ball or whatever.
I remember that. It was like one of those things you can punch down and it just like
yeah, and
comes
it's like,
back
but
up.
like the way he was like able to like do this like cool leg move, and I was like, I want that on my tour. That's what I really want on my tour. It's just that mic that just goes
You like throw it and it comes back.
yeah.
We should try that with these.
I just think that'd be cool. No,
Didn't work.
I'm sorry, dude. I should try it one more
I
time.
need a boomerang mic ready. Oh, jeez. Again, we apologize to your eardrums. Too much force.
My bad.
Too much force. Okay, we've been in this series now for what? I don't know.
4 months?
Not that
No,
long.
4 weeks.
Yeah, 4 or 5 weeks, something like that. And we've been in Colossians 3 for a minute. But the reason, to me, the landing spot of this message of this entire series is on Colossians 3, because Colossians 3 is kind of the like, so what, right? It's like where we get to flesh this thing out. So this is kind of fun, actually. I'm just going to like flip this podcast on its head. Usually we film the podcast immediately after the sermon.
Yeah.
But why pretend with our faithful listeners? We haven't filmed the sermon yet.
Nope.
So you're teaching this weekend. What are you excited about? Where are you going? What's the like? Whenever I'm sermon prepping, there's like a golden thread, and that's the kind of thing that you like get excited about, and you lay the foundation, and then you start like building from there, right? So like, what's the thing you're excited about right now?
Yeah, I think the thing that I'm excited about this weekend for is I want to almost like double down on the idea that even like you were talking about last night, this being Thursday, this on Wednesday night, where you was talking about that do and don'ts list. I really want to double down on the idea that like it's not a matter of rules, you know? Rules don't create righteousness, you know? Righteousness was created for you by Jesus. You're not righteous because of what you do. You're righteous because of what Jesus already did, you know?
Yeah, that's good.
So that's what I'm excited about talking about this weekend. And then next Wednesday, I'm excited talking about like our response because of that righteousness, you know? I'm looking forward to having that kind of conversation, that discussion. I'm still piecing it together. But this weekend, like, I'm excited, honestly, to have this discussion in 1122. Like, if you guys haven't come to 1122 yet, I'm sure maybe check it out. Like, it's fun. It's so different. Like, I promise you, you've never been to a service like 1122. You've been to a service like 9. I promise you that, and you've been to a Bible study before, which is a 910 plus. Okay, you probably have. Okay, if you haven't, then come check out 910 plus too.
Hey, don't dog on 910.
I'm not dogging on 910 plus.
Pizza there. It's a Saturday night vibe.
No, 910 plus is.
It might be my favorite.
It's my favorite weekend service.
Yeah.
Okay. 1122 is my most like. I'm the most interested in 1122. And the 9 a.m. I would say is my most fun. Because they're all just really good. Now when I was just explaining that, I was like, actually, I really like all. All right,
fine. We love 910.
Okay, fine. Like, I hate fuel. No, I'm kidding.
Yeah, Wednesday nights
suck, man. No, dude. But yeah, I'm excited about kind of diving that conversation with them. I get really fascinated with the chapter in Romans where it talks about it's not a matter of eating or drinking that gets into the kingdom of God, but righteousness. And I kind of want to dive into that a little bit because I just love the idea that like Paul is writing to the Romans in that area because they are so much bent on the fact of being kosher and whether or not you eat bacon or you don't eat bacon sort of thing. And it's like, oh, this is how you get in the kingdom of God is by what you do eat and what you don't eat, or how much you drink or how much you don't drink. And it's like, oh, like.
Right. But the tension is then, right? So you go, okay, it's not about the do's and don'ts. It's not about the rules and, you know, the rule book, whatever. It's about righteousness. Righteousness is not the do's. Righteousness, being right with God, is found only in the person of Jesus, right? He hangs on the cross. I just burped. That's gross.
Excuse you.
Shout out to Pellegrino. He hangs on the cross, says it is finished, right? And then Ephesians will make it crystal clear. It is by grace you have been saved. This is not of your doing. There is no amount of works that you can do to save yourself. Jesus saves, period, the end. There's no Jesus plus. There's nothing. And yet, what do you do with the tension of, okay, now that you have that righteousness, there is a demonstrated life. There is a hope and a trust that's in him, right? Like if you found your right standing with Christ and then died, that's like, that theology is so simple to me.
Yeah.
Like the thief on the cross, I go like, cool, I get that.
Yeah.
Right? Like today you'll be with me in paradise because you looked at Jesus and you went like, you are Lord.
Yeah.
Which is interesting. I've never really thought about this before. I probably should have thought about this, but Romans 10 says, if you confess with your mouth that Jesus is Lord and believe in your heart that God raised him from the dead, you will be saved. The thief on the cross didn't believe that God raised him from the dead because it hadn't happened yet. That's just interesting. It's neither here nor there. I guess
I really like that.
The thief on the cross's salvation in a lot of ways was the same salvation that like John the Baptist had.
Yeah, I mean, it's more so. I feel like too, isn't it a big part? I'm honestly asking this. Isn't it the thief on the cross had the declaration that Jesus was the Son of God, Jesus was God, and that therefore.
Right. It's just interesting, the resurrection piece, which I guess every person that walked before Jesus, right? Abraham, it was credited to him as righteous. He believed in God and it was credited to him as righteous. It was like a flash forward to Jesus. It's just interesting that like he was so close to the I don't know. That's why it trips me out. It's because it was like 3 days away.
Yeah, he was like right on the ticker, just like,
you were so close.
Oh, you were so close. If you just had.
I wonder if he was the last person saved before the resurrection.
Ooh, that's pretty.
I mean, I
good.
guess it could have been like a Roman soldier or something that was like after. But
I mean, yeah, maybe, but
probably not.
I like this storyline better.
That'd be a fun sermon title. The last person saved.
Oh my gosh, like I'm writing that down in my notes.
That's pretty good.
I'm writing that down.
Put that in the poetry.
That's pretty good. That's going to.
Look down at the dogs hanging out in your sandals. Throw in the poetry. Okay, but getting back on track.
Yes.
Like that righteousness.
That tension.
What do you do with that personally? Like you and your life fleshed out, because it's really easy to fall into the like, here's all the things I have to do to make God happy, which is just legalism. And yet, on the other side of the pendulum, if you will, is this: I'm saved. My righteousness is in Him and Him alone, and then it almost doesn't matter. Right, which
I think,
I don't know. It's hard. It's a hard tension.
It's a hard tension to live in, but I think, I don't know. For me personally, the way I've just always thought about it, I've taught it this way, is just I think when you meet Jesus and you start to live in the new, I think I've always thought about in the way that like God is almost like a stylist in a way that like he removes the dirt from your closet and adds like the luxury of his lifestyle to your closet in a way. Like I think like he's like, oh, yeah, you're gonna get rid of this. You're gonna want to get rid of this.
Right.
I promise you, you're gonna want to get rid of this, but you're gonna want to add this, and this. That's what it's literally just Ephesians 4. It just talks about put off the old, put on the new. So I love this idea that it's like God's just gonna come in to your life and go, no, I promise you, once you experience.
But that's not passive.
Yeah, I don't think.
Like if a stylist comes in and goes like, here's your new wardrobe, you're like, oh, bet, thanks.
Yeah.
Like God doesn't just like come into your life and he's like, you're going to put these things on, you're going to take off these things. Like we play an active role in that.
Yeah, I think you have to accept the invitation for Jesus to be Lord of your life, right? Like you have to accept the invitation for Jesus to take that position in your life. Because if you're just going to ask him to be your savior, well, that's great. But if you're not going to ask him to take that position of lordship,
right,
then you're not going to change anything.
Right. And I think that's the crux that I'm struggling with, is like what does lordship fleshed out look like? Like what's the so what of lordship on like a Thursday? Like what does lordship practically day in and day out tangibly look like?
Wouldn't lordship just look like the same way that just remain?
Right.
Wouldn't it look like, I feel like lordship, if you want to know if you're in check with lordship, I feel like you can check, you can just ask yourself the question, just like, have I been obedient? You know? I think, I don't know, maybe I'm wrong by saying this, but sometimes I feel like we guess so often like what God wants us to do, but God left us a book, you know? And he left us a book that's timeless. He left us, if God wanted to leave us a movie, he would have left us a movie. If God wanted to leave us a painting,
I wish he left us a movie.
That would have been amazing, right? The Chosen.
I'd binge that thing.
Yeah. But it's funny, but he left us a book, you know? And that's what we have. And it's the greatest story ever written about the greatest person that's ever existed, about the only God that's real, you know? And so if we have this book that literally explains the existence of life, and if this God is real, and if everything in this book is true, then I'm following this thing to a T. And if I understand this book correctly, it's the fact that my desire when I meet Christ, it makes me want to follow everything to a T, but I know that because of Christ, I don't have to follow everything to a T. You know, like I think because of Jesus, I want to, but because of Jesus, I don't have to.
That's good.
You know?
That's really good. Because of Jesus, I want to, but because of Jesus, I don't have to. That's really good.
I should write that in my notes.
There's a lot to flesh out there. Yeah. Dang. That's really good. And I think it's funny because I think it comes down to a internal motivation thing, right? Like tangibly fleshed out, I think it looks the same. It's like God
Yeah.
left us a book, and so I read that book. But you can sit down and read that book incredibly legalistically.
Yeah.
And you can go like, this is a checklist. This is what makes me a good Christian. I have to do my quiet time. And you can do all these spiritual disciplines with the expectation that it's going to like accomplish something, and you're doing the right thing the wrong way. Mm-hmm. Right. And it's like, I love that quote of like, what's the quote? It's like, it's so silly. It's like, don't do these things, become the type of person that does these things.
Yeah.
And it's
That's
like,
good.
what's the difference?
Yeah.
And really, like from the outside looking in, like from me looking in at your life, I probably don't see a difference.
Thanks,
but
man.
for you,
No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding.
like for you, it's all the difference in the world,
Yeah.
right? Like doing spiritual disciplines will burn you out for the sake of spiritual disciplines. But like spiritual disciplines, what they're supposed to do is like put you in a position to allow God to move and work. So it's like, it's not about doing, it's about becoming.
Yeah.
And if you're focused on becoming, then the doing is simply a posture.
Yeah, and I think and I honestly, once 100% like what you just said, like when I look at you, it's going to be different. Like same thing for me. When I look at you, it's probably going to be different. Individually, I think we are all wired in different ways. That's why I think Paul had to write different letters, because different churches were wired different ways, you know? Like to me, I think I go back to I love Kobe, okay? And Kobe said like I never viewed basketball as like hard work just because I loved basketball. So I would just show up to practice, and it wasn't practice to me necessarily, it was just basketball, you know, sort of thing. And I would like that. It's weird, but that's like the same desire I want to have when it comes to my attitude and my posture towards spiritual disciplines. It's not because like, oh, I show up to practice Christianity because like I got to go to practice and I got to practice Christianity. No, I show up to practice because like, man, I just love basketball. Like I just love Jesus, man. So like, I just think once you experience Jesus, everything else you just go like, what? Yeah, why would I want that in my closet? Like why would I want that? Like I've used this before, but I've had steaks at Denny's and I've had steaks at this place called Bourbon and Bones in Arizona. It was this $100 steak I had, y'all. And I'm not trying to flex, okay? Because I didn't pay for it, okay? It was my buddy that paid for it for me, okay?
Shout out Eric.
It wasn't my dad. I don't know. My dad would be like, we're going to Denny's, okay?
He's like, that Denny's steak slaps.
Right, he'd be like, we're going to... But like Denny's specializes in eggs, not steak, you know,
Right.
sort of thing. So
And even their eggs are mid.
And even I'm just saying, Denny's is great for like a 2 a.m.
Right.
like post like hang with the boys. We're just gonna go to Denny's, you know, sort of thing. Because guess what? It's the only thing open. And guess what? There's a reason it's the only thing open.
Correct.
Okay.
If you're trying to go to Denny's at like 8 p.m. or 10 a.m. for like a normal meal and spend like $45 because it ain't cheap.
We're not trying to hate on Denny's. We kind of are. But
I'm really not trying to hate on Denny's. And Denny's is what it is. But if that's like your spot and you're spending $50 on Denny's, there's something wrong with you.
No, because once I had this most beautiful, amazing steak that I've ever had at Bourbon Bones. Oh my gosh, it was like cured for like 48 hours, and it was like, oh man, once you experience that, like you just want to keep going back to that, you know. And It's like, and the great part is the analogy isn't perfect because you have to like pay the price in order to experience that lifestyle. But like the price was already paid for you to experience that lifestyle. Right. And maybe it's just being Romans 12, being a living sacrifice. And that's the price we have to pay, is sometimes we have to be that living sacrifice, you know? I don't know.
I think I'm, I don't know how long we have here. I think that in some ways I'm similar, and in some ways I'm the opposite. Like, I think I forget that Jesus is better all the time, like personally. And I'm pretty quick to jump to things that are probably Denny's steaks, like from a 30,000 foot view, like, but they're more immediately gratifying than Jesus. Like my own personal comfort, success, exhilaration, adventure, like things that I know are like quick fixes, you know? And it almost has to, like, coming to Jesus is almost a discipline thing for me, of knowing what's on the other side. Like, I know it's better, therefore I will, rather than like, I'm currently experiencing it's better, and so it's not work, it's just basketball. Like I feel like I pretty rarely am in seasons where I'm like I get the Kobe thing, because it's like I grew up playing sports, and so it's like going to practice, it's like, this isn't work, it's what I love.
Yeah.
And I think Jesus, for me, like I would love for that to be a reality consistently, where it's like it's not work, it's Jesus. It's not discipline, it's Jesus. And it's so much obvious. It's like obvious that it's better. But I think for me, I pretty consistently have to go like, okay, Austin, that's better. Enter in, and then on the other side of that discipline, I experience Jesus as better.
Yeah, but I think like I'd say the same's for me too. Like that, I described that, and I used the Kobe thing because like that's what I want my spiritual life to be. Is that what my spiritual life? Is that the reality of my spiritual life? Oh heck no!
Yeah. Sometimes it is. Sometimes
it is.
You're in like rad,
and sometimes you're in rad seasons. But like, I was talking to my life group boys about this last night. Any relationship you have, I was just asking them. I was like, any of you got a perfect relationship with your parents? Any of you got a perfect relationship with your sisters, your brothers? Like, I just feel like in your relationship, you're going to have ups and downs, you know?
Right.
Now, in ours, it's usually because of us, you know? And when I say usually, I mean always. It's usually because we did something, or sometimes maybe because God had us in what we feel like a wilderness is. But when we're in a wilderness, I love what I think it was Andrew Pulfer said it one time. When you're in a wilderness, that's when you get to practice the sling the most. That's what David did. So, but I just feel like in any relationship, like you're always going to feel like these ebbs and flows of these ups and downs. And in a relationship with Jesus, I don't think anything changes.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Why do we approach our relationship with Jesus and be like, oh, it's gonna magically, like, this is gonna be different than any other relationship I have? And should it be different than any other relationship? Yeah, but the reality of it, guess what? It's going to ebb and flow.
Yeah, that's good. Okay. We were like way over time. My computer slept, and we're now at 26 minutes-ish. So I'm going to end with a real quick hot take on dating.
Okay, go. 3, 2, 1.
That has to do with this topic we're talking about. This is going to be controversial for our 12 listeners. But
it's fine. Our parents are already married.
Mom, you thank you for listening on 3 different devices. I don't think he should spiritually lead you. I think you should spiritually lead yourself.
Oh, I disagree. No, I'm kidding. I know.
Hot take. It's okay. You can disagree.
No,
I just think like in light of what we're talking about, right? Like the pursuing of the relationship with Jesus. I think too often, especially like early on dating couples, are like, I'm looking for a guy that can this, or like this girl. If y'all are both just chasing Jesus and go like, his righteousness has freed me to now have this new stylist to put on the wardrobe, and y'all are just chasing Jesus together. Beautiful picture. It shouldn't be dependent on one another in any way, shape, or form.
Bars.
Peace out, NineTen.
Peace out, y'all.